Start again. Shalom, everybody. This is Olivier with Shalom and Messiah.
Hello, and my name is Brad. I'm a pastor in Hagerstown, Maryland.
And we are here in Israel.
Baptist Village.
Yes. And we're getting ready for a conference for today is Shabbat, and we're getting ready for a conference where a big group of IDF Messianic believers, IDF soldiers are going to come. And as we wait for them, Pastor Brad, you and I were talking about, we're in the land of Bible prophecy.
It sure is. Isn't it amazing how the Bible is so alive here in Israel?
It really is. And so what we wanted to do was to maybe go over a few things that from the Bible we know are clearly have happened or will happen based on the Word of God. And one of the first things that, being in Israel, is the fact that Israel was reborn as a nation in 1948.
And it's quite a miracle, very much a miracle that here we are in a land that was given to the Jews by God and promised to remain in the hands of Jews by God. And we know that Jesus is not coming back to New York City or to Rome or even to Paris, sorry, Olivier.
Or Rockwall, Texas.
Or Rockwall, Texas. He's coming right here to Israel. And this is the place of Bible prophecy fulfillment.
And you know what? If Jesus is not coming back to Rockwall, Texas, I'm okay. I'll tell you why. Because we got the 5 red heifers from Rockwall, Texas.
That's right.
That's better than nothing.
Well, that brings up a good point, because we are seeing in Israel the assembly of all the instruments and everything that's needed to bring the temple back to the Temple Mount.
That's right, and that's another Bible prophecy. Now, going back to 1948, May 14, 1948, when Israel was reborn as a nation, people are divided, and I don't know where you stand, Pastor Brad. People are divided on, is there a verse or a passage in the Bible that clearly speaks of Israel being reborn as a nation? I personally don't think there's one. There is a verse that says that, Israel will be reborn in one. What's that verse?
Isaiah 66:8 is what I have.
Why don't you read it?
Can a nation be born in a day? And certainly the rebirth of Israel in 1948 was a nation born in a day. But of course, Israel has always been a nation. And it has always been, since the time when Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was established by God as the nation of Israel. So what do you think? Is it something that is a Bible prophecy fulfillment, or is this the foreshadows? And I often talk about the foreshadowing that we're experiencing today in our world of what is yet to come in the time of the tribulation.
What I think is that can a nation be born in one day? My approach to this is, I think it has to do with when Israel, when the remnant of the Jewish people at the end of the tribulation all say Baruch haba b'Shem Adonai,
Yes.
and they all get saved, and all Israel, the all Israel of Romans 11:26, and one day all Israel will be saved. I think that this is a reference to that time. But friends, regardless of that scripture being speaking of May 14, 1948, or speaking of the end of the 7-year tribulation, here's a fact. Israel reborn as a nation is a prerequisite
Absolutely.
for where we are today.
And that God is at work. And we are seeing Him at work. And we are seeing the days that we are living in. Never before. 25 years ago when I started ministry, I never saw the amount of biblical fulfillment coming to be, right unfolding right before our eyes like never before.
That's right.
And
So,
part of the opening up of Israel again in 1948 also was a biblical fulfillment of the Jewish people returning to their land.
to me, that's the biggest one today.
Incredible.
I mean, I see all the Jews going back to Israel, making Aliyah and going back. And it says it actually that the Jews would go back in unbelief before being regenerated, as the Bible tells us. Where do we read that the Jews are going to go back in unbelief?
Well, I have in Ezekiel 36:24 that I will take you from among the nations and come back to Israel. And we also read about Ezekiel 37 about the valley of the dry bones, coming back to life. But if you go around Israel, what you find, and I mean, we're standing here in the middle of a nation at war.
Yes.
But what we're finding is incredible growth. You walk around and you drive around, or even as we were flying into Israel a few days ago, you could see cranes and construction
Everywhere.
going through Tel Aviv. There's dozens of high-rises being built for the purpose of housing the nation of Israel.
I think this might be, now we don't have any way to confirm that, but it makes sense that it would be a preparation for a massive aliyah or return of the Jewish people in the end days. And now, not Israel or the average Jewish person in Israel might not see it as the end times aliyah because of coming back in unbelief. That might not be the way they see it, but the Jewish people are building up the place, and it looks to me like it's in preparation for what's going to be a massive return of the Jews that is prophesied in many places, but in Ezekiel 36, and it says, I will bring you back from the nation, and to bring the Jews back from the nation, they would have to be within the whole world, within the nations, which of course is known as a diaspora, the dispersion. And why would they come back from the nation? I think one big driving factor is this rebirth and this resurgence of global anti-Semitism that's pushing the Jews back to Israel.
It is, and here in America, or there in America where we live, we see a lot of times universities, they're very anti-Semitic. The culture, places, we're seeing anti-Semitism like during the early parts of the World War II, coming
1930s
back.
and 40s, yeah.
And I think I was even reading or hearing you say how the return of the hostages that are coming back into Israel from Gaza, they look like they're coming back from the camps. It's terrible.
Absolutely, this is we are at levels right now of anti-Semitism, and I do a lot of that on our website at Shalom and Messiah and on the blog. We are at levels that are the same as 1930s and 1940s, and I think that's going to be one of the main driving factors. Because Jewish people have been very comfortable. My family in France, I remember talking to them for years, and they would say, hey, listen, we're good, we're in France, we're established, we have roots, we have investments, we have property. They have no reason to go anywhere. It's a good community, it's a good life. And in the last 10 years, I think since 2015, there was a big terrorist attack at a supermarket in Paris, and the Jews finally, they realized in France and other parts of the world, in Europe in particular, they say, hey, you know what, this place is done for us. It's not safe anymore. And so the Jewish people are now at a place where they're going like, the only safe place for us is Israel. And think about this. The only safe place for Jews is a small sliver of land in the Middle East, which is currently at war on 7 fronts.
And surrounded by people that hate them. But that just speaks into the resilience of the Jewish people, because you drive around here in Israel and you're seeing the determination of survival, right? They are a nation at war, but they are a nation that is striving for peace and for prosperity. And you drive around and you see the yellow ribbons, you see the bring them home now signs, but there's also, and we're running for bomb shelters in the middle of, shopping.
That's right.
But at the same time, this is like what they're going to do to make sure they survive. They're not the Jewish people are not rolling over and saying, oh, well, we're done. No, they know, and I think it's something built into them that says, I am going to survive.
I think it's in the Jewish and the Israeli DNA, and there's a lot of political division and disagreement right now in Israel with the government, but at the end of the day, they are the common denominator, the common thread is let's work together at making this war, at ending this war and keeping Israel safe. It's easier said than done, but we get this sense of unity when we when we talk to people, and that's a good thing to see. I wish more Christians would actually come and see this for themselves and visit. So we had to run into a bomb shelter a couple of days ago, and friends, let me tell you what, this was an experience for us because this is not something that we used to, but we were shopping in Tel Aviv at Hostage Square and shopping for a few things to bring back to our friends about the hostages, and all of a sudden the siren went off, and the two gentlemen that we were with, they're reservists in the IDF, and one of them looked at me and he said, "Follow me." And it was no panic, there was no running and dropping stuff, just follow me. And we started walking fast and running, following him, go into a building, go into the basement, and then stand there for about maybe 5 minutes. People were just eating the end of their lunch, reading a book, talking, watching on the phone to see when it was safe to go out. Nobody took it lightly. Nobody said like, another bomb scare, let's not worry about it. No, it's real. It's part of life. They just ran into the building. They took it seriously, but there was no panic. Nobody was scared. Nobody was panic. It was like, this is what we do. It's a different culture. It's just amazing to me.
It really is. And one of the things that the Old Testament also talks about is that Zechariah says that he is going to restore the people back to Jerusalem as well, right? In Zechariah 8:7-8, he says, "I will bring them back and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem." Now, what does that say to you? Because that seems to be going a level deeper than just bringing the Jews back to the land of Israel.
Well, it's bringing them back for good. I mean, it's the end times where the Jews are going to come back and dwell in Israel and dwell in Jerusalem. And of course, we know the temple. Now, there's two temples. The tribulation temple that's going to be built and desecrated by the Antichrist. But then there will be the millennial temple.
Absolutely.
In Ezekiel 40-48, we read about the millennial temple. So we could spend the whole day, building, prophecy upon prophecy. Friends, here is how, if we can wrap it up, that the Bible tells us all about the Jewish people, it tells us about Israel, and if you don't believe in God, just look at the Jewish people. The existence of the Jewish people is a proof of the existence of God.
And you come here, everything's in Hebrew, so the language. The
you noticed that too?
I noticed that, and I'm learning a little Hebrew, from even beyond what I learned in seminary. But the language is spoken in Hebrew. Everything, all the signage is in Hebrew. Everybody speaks in Hebrew. It's the common language. You exchange money in shekels. The shekels is the official currency, which is all part of God reestablishing Israel permanently. And as I said, Jesus is coming back to a Jewish Jerusalem.
Right.
He's going to be sitting upon a Jewish throne on the Jewish temple. And you are a believer in Jesus Christ, whether you're a Messianic Jew or whether you are a Gentile believer. You are a born-again person because of the Jewish Jesus that walked on this land that we are at right now. And that all came about because of God fulfilling his plan through the Jewish people. From the time he called Abraham out of his land and eventually to Moses delivering the people and Joshua crossing the Jordan and so on, all the way to the time of Jesus. We are now here because of the Jewish people. We owe our eternity in part to what God did through the Jewish people.
Absolutely. And I'll just a final thought when people think about why are the Jewish people so important? Are they that important in the Bible? I mean, are we overemphasizing? Well, let's think about it. First book of the Bible, the book of Genesis, 50 chapters, 11 chapters on mankind, and 39 chapters on the Jewish people.
Amazing.
In particular, with specifics on the whole family lineage. 11 chapters on mankind, 39 chapters on the Jewish people. That tells you not that we're better, not that we are smarter, better looking. I might be the exception. That was a bad joke.
I would agree.
That was a bad joke. But not that we are smarter or better or even saved, but that the Jewish people are very much part of God's plan. They have been, they continue to be, and they will be until the final chapter.
And these aren't just headlines that we're reciting. This is God's plan in action in the world around us. And if you open up your newspapers or look online to what is going on, especially here in the Middle East and right dead center, ground zero of Israel. You are watching God's plan unfold, and what a glorious time and today to be alive.
Absolutely.
To be watching God's plan unfold before us, so we can lift up our heads because we know our redemption is drawing nigh.
Absolutely. Well, friends, thanks for watching. We'll do more of those.
Shalom.
And we will see you on the next one. Until then, be blessed.
Bye-bye.